Sadly, unlike like a lot of people that were at Impressions, because of this crazy winter storm, I know a lot of folks that are stuck, can't get home. So I am very, very lucky I was able to come home. We're one of the few pockets, Phoenix and like Florida. Those like the two pockets where not a lot crazy going on. Sean, you absolutely were first today in the comments, so congratulations. I think you've been on it live a few times, but is it because you're stuck inside like everybody else? Jonathan, what's happening? Yeah, I got to meet Jonathan at the show. He's on the thumbnail. So I put there, he was, for those of you who don't know, Jonathan was the first person to comment, other than my wife, on my first live stream I ever did on this channel. So, like, literally the very first live stream. So it was awesome to get to meet him in person. He handed over some of his transfers so I could take a look at it. I got to tell you, his variable white underbase, chef's kiss. So nice. At trade shows, I see so much white underbase that is like solid, and it's just a solid flat layer, and it looks like, well, it looks fine, but it feels like trash. Liz, hello. Thank you for commenting. I think this is your first time, so welcome to the party. Are you surviving okay in Houston? I know multiple friends that could not get home to Houston because of this craziness. So, yeah, nuts. Carl, what's happening? Hello, honey. Watching from the living room. Kevin, how's it going? Sweet. All right. And now I'm blanking on Botrick's name. Now I'm trying to remember it. Farts. I'm usually I'm getting really good with like remembering the names, but y'all have different usernames that just like confuse me sometimes. But it's okay. He's watching from Peru. What's happening, Matt? Matt's in Florida, one of the few places that's not freezing right now. When I was at Impressions, one of the nights I checked on the weather app to see what the weather was like for my kids in Minnesota. It was like feels like -34. It was like -19. Oh, hey, speaking of which, there's one of the kids. Um, and I checked in with all of my kids, my son, my daughter, and my son's fiance, and said, "Hey, is everybody surviving okay?" So, Matt, we're not gonna talk about our weather because we don't want to offend everybody else. All right, so let's get into it today. We have Sylvan. What's happening? You caused quite a ruckus last week with your using chroma ink in your Mamaki, causing all sorts of problems. All right, so let's chat. Let's chat about Impressions. It was everything that I expect it to be. It was a big show. There was a lot of people. Ash, I remember you 100%. You sent me some dope halftone files. Anyway, you guys are just blowing it up. Yeah. Ooh. Like honestly, that's why I checked in with my kids. It's scary how cold it is, man. I mean, it was a little chilly. It was like 50 degrees in my studio when I came in this morning. So I had to turn on the heater to bring it up to 72. Anyway, all right. So the trade show, it was everything I anticipated. It was huge. I think it's one of the biggest years that Impressions had with the volume of booths, volume of companies that were there. A lot of blank suppliers, a lot of new, smaller garment, like blank garment folks. I don't know what else to call them. Bunch of DTF, lots of screen printing as usual. The rock area was rocking as always. And the there was a lot of things going on, and obviously my focus is DTF because that's what I do. And one thing that was like really encouraging is there weren't a lot of new like groundbreaking innovations. Like that kind of lets us know we're starting to kind of like mature as technology, is that it's not like brand new stuff that's earth shattering, groundbreaking every single trade show. So from that standpoint, it was like kind of encouraging. There was some new stuff. I did check out a bunch of it, and we're going to get into talking about it here in just a moment. But I want to just give a huge, huge thanks to everybody in this freaking industry, because I had so many people come up to me that or message me or whatever. They said, "Hey, Mike from Roland told me to reach out to you. So and so from Epson told me to reach out to you." So and other end users, like it's people across. Like I kind of surprised this some of the recommendations that were sent my way. So thank you. If you're in this group and you have thanked or sent somebody my way, thank you. It was a fun show. It was really great to engage with people. I'm still fairly young in this industry. Like obviously, I've got a handle on the technology side of DTF, but there are people that have been in this industry for 30, 40 years that kind of know everyone. So for those of you that know everyone, thanks for sending people my way. I really do appreciate it. All right, so let's talk about what we saw at the show. I've got some video. I'm going to pull it up here. Let's talk DTF Station first. Since that was the booth I was at for 2 days, they had this thing, the Hex Press. It's a 6-station heat press. It was more of like a demo unit. There's still some things they're going to put on a placer to place graphics. They're going to put a puller on. There's a few things they're going to add to it, but it was kind of just a prototype, just kind of show what was going on. That was the dual platen heat press, which they had at Printing United. I'll tell you more about it in a minute. This is what I was excited about. This X6 is their 6-head DTF printer. It is expanded color gamut. So it's 2 heads of CMYK, 2 heads of color, expanded colors, and 2 heads of white. And the prints coming off of it were phenomenal, like I would expect. And speeds, I don't remember what exactly they were quoting. I can't remember off the top of my head. But substantially faster than their 4-head, or a little, faster than their 4-head. But biggest thing here is expanded color gamut. Also, with it being 36 inches wide, it is a 36-inch print width. You get a little bit more speed out of that as well. That was Sula right there. But yeah, so the X6 is cool. Like they need to be doing this higher production for bigger shops. Yeah, Sylvan, yes, around 200 square feet an hour. So it's not like blazingly fast, but the fact you can do 36-inch, you can get a lot on that film, and then that dryer shaker they have paired with it uses a conveyor belt vacuum system, not unlike their Miros. Their Miros don't do that, and I said like that's a great thing because a lot of these larger production shops are basically cutting off as soon as they come out of the dryer. This here is their 36-inch cutter, which uses the little you can see the little crop marks, or not crop marks, but the registration marks, those little dots right there. Those are integrated with Neostampa and with DigiRip. So this is a 36-inch wide. They had their 27-inch, the ARC 127, which was designed for 24-inch film. And FYI, guys, if my internet craps out on me, I've been having trouble with it today. The example of shows printers using the A18 color. Oh, you're talking about the i3200 HD. Nobody had that. I only know of like 2 or 3 of those out there that have the HD. So anyway, back to this. So the X6, it's going to be a lot bigger production. I asked if they have a CMYK only version or planning on it, and right now no, because the way their heads are staggered, it's 2 CMYK, 2 expanded color, and 2 white. So when you do a 6-head CMYK only, you really need to have each of the 3 different color heads staggered off of the 3 whites. So right now, not a plan to configure it as CMYK only. The expanded colors, obviously, you guys know what I think about the chroma ink that they're running on everything else, and they are using chroma on the base colors. They're still working on developing some different color combinations. Right now, it's RGBO. I know from looking at their profiles and talking to the guy who builds their profiles that it's very good, and it definitely gives you hits some more colors. Sylvan was asking me about some other color options, and really, when you get into gamut expanders, it's not so much the amount that you're making the gamut bigger, but it's more some of those hard to hit colors. And that's what when you're adding those gamut expanders, especially if your baseline is the chroma ink, you're really just adding some colors that are going to be hard to hit. Some certain blues, some certain violets, some of those darker colors. That's what you're really adding to the mix. So although it doesn't create a huge, massive volume change of gamut, it definitely makes a difference when you're trying to dial in Pantones. And I tell you what, I talked about Pantones last week on the live stream, and I have never gotten so many follow-up questions after the fact than I did last week. And it's just we're hitting a point in maturity for our industry where we need to figure out a good solution for spot colors. We need to figure that out. So yeah, and there's the cutter dropping it off. I love it. Oh, one of the things I want to mention about the heat press, the kind of grid cover you see on it, you'll see on this one. I'm gonna actually touch it. You can touch the top of that and it doesn't burn you. It's not hot. So it's really nice. Also, their motor on this dual platen kind of it doesn't hurt to fight back. Like you can hold against it and it doesn't push you out of the way. So you're not going to get like slammed by it. It's a really clean working thing. Also, it does variable pressure. So you could have like 2 or 3 different, 10 different presets, and all of them could technically have a different pressure as well as time and temp. I don't know why you want to do temp because it takes too long to heat up and cool down, but time and pressure, yeah, make a major difference on that. So that's huge for shops if they're doing a lot of mixed media or multiple different kinds of pressing. So I don't know on the availability of it yet. Pretty quick. So just reach out to a dealer near you. I know you're in Florida, Sylvan. So probably Grimco is probably the closest dealer of that, and they can give you an ETA. I know that they sold a couple at the show, so I think they're going to be available pretty quick. Hold on. Was the folder there? Yes, it was, but I already showed the last one, and I made a lot of women tell their husband they need a bigger closet. All right. Really missed the show. Really want to try the Chroma ink. Arizona. Any stocking distributors, or is everything drop ship from DTF station? Mike, first of all, thank you for commenting. This is, I believe, your first time commenting, and same state. The closest dealer that sells DTF station is going to be in California, probably All American Print Supply. I don't think there's any dealers directly in Arizona at this point, and many of them drop ship just because it's easier from an inventory standpoint, but they drop ship from California. So I would reach out to All American Print Supply and have them, you can just get it shipped. But I love it. What kind of ink are you currently running right now? Let's see. I should make a spot color solution. I'm working on it. I'm actually working with a couple companies on it. So, well, let's see. We're working on some stuff. All right. So the next thing, let's talk about powderless DTF or liquid adhesive. You know, Carl, if it's good, I'm going to recommend it. That's how I roll. Just unlucky that it's the company that sponsors this channel that makes that ink. If it was not, I'd have a conflict of interest for sure. But anyway, okay. So DuPont's color is good. It's not, I don't think, as good as the Color Prime Chroma, but But I will tell you the white is more opaque on the Color Prime ink. And that's not even their new Chroma white yet. It's just their regular Color Prime white. But yeah, I know the guys there, and I think it's probably Ink Bank is probably the non-DuPont that they're selling, would be my guess. And the DuPont is the regular stuff. So their colors are actually pretty good. But if you don't have a profile built for that specific ink, so if you do try the Chroma, reach out to me. If I have some kind of default-ish profile, they'll get you in the ballpark. But ultimately, the best thing is to have a bespoke profile made for your printer. So just be aware of that when you do try it, is that you want to make sure it's not you don't want to print it without it being profiled. Otherwise, the colors will just look weird. They won't look great. And the beauty is, Mike, you're in Arizona. It's a lot cheaper for me to come out to you because you don't have to pay travel costs, which is unfortunate for everybody else. Okay, back to liquid adhesive. Yes, the elephant in the room. All right, so liquid adhesive. There were two printers, the Matsui, which I will pull up right now, and the Neoflex. And I mean, the Matsui looks good. It prints fine. It's all right. I don't have a problem with it. But like I've oftentimes said, I want to like put it through its paces. I was hearing people were saying that Neoflex was advertising 20 washes with their adhesive, which is not great. Their adhesive is super soft. I will switch back over to the Neoflex here in a second. There we go. The difference between the Matsui and the Neoflex is the Matsui had two CMYK channels or two CMYK heads, two white heads, and two adhesive heads. This is the Neoflex. It had two CMYK heads and four heads of white with the adhesive mixed into it. So they're doing adhesive mixed into the white ink, whereas Matsui is doing a true liquid adhesive. So I actually talked to both of them, and I do have tentative invites from both of them to go out to their showroom. Neoflex is in Florida, and Matsui is in California. So I'm going to see, I don't know how soon it's going to happen, but I'm going to get out there and play with them. I said, is there any way that I could like just put it through its paces? Interesting thing, they both run on Hosensoft, and that's they're still on the Hosensoft platform. The biggest thing with the liquid adhesive, and the guys at DuPont have said the same thing, is that it's got to come flat out. That's what you saw with the Matsui. It's got to come out flat. Oh, I'm remembering this. It looks like a powder dryer shaker, and it's because their dryer shaker can do powder, because I think that the longevity of it is not great. It's only 20 washes, which is not a lot. So a lot needs to get better with this Neoflex specifically, for sure. The Matsui, like I said, this is what's kind of expected for the liquid adhesive, is it going flat all the way through the process. So I think it's cool. I think it's advancing. I think it is the eventual future of the industry, is this liquid adhesive. It's just got to get figured out and implemented properly. And DuPont, they're supposed to have a machine at their facility back east soon, and they're going to reach out to me to come out and play with it once it's there. But I even said to the guys at DuPont, I'm like, who's going to grab this and run with it is going to be somebody from Europe. I think there's a little bit too much PTSD trauma from from those of us that have been around a little while in DTF with the original liquid adhesive that came out and just caused major problems for folks. So I think it'll grab a hold earlier in Europe, potentially Asia, before we really see it get a real good hold in America. But there's also a lot of companies that are developing better and better adhesive powders. So it could be that we just get the adhesive powder better to a degree where it's softer, because it's really the biggest benefit of the liquid adhesive is it's softer and you don't have the whole like powder to deal with. I get that. That's a valid like gripe with the current setup that we have. So yeah, so those are my thoughts on it. I think that um I think that it's getting there. That's my 2 cents. It's getting there, but it's going to take some time. And all of our materials are getting better in DTF. Like I think back to like early days when I started, and it was inks were bad. Inks were just, quite frankly, just bad. And the inks now, even the inexpensive stuff coming from China, is so much better than it was before. And like with the chroma, we're starting to people ink manufacturers are starting to recognize how to work with the DTF ink pigments to make them behave right. Um, we talked a little bit about it last week, but the way that the colors mix with each other is what dictates how you can achieve certain colors, and why like sublimation ink can achieve a crazy big gamut with just CMYK. So I think that as ink advances, we will see. Yeah, I think it's exciting. We're like very early in this technology, so I think that it's moving really well. So let's pop on. We got a couple of questions that popped up while we were talking about that. I got more to share. I still got more. Um, oddly, ink. It depends on the ink. Some of their ink, their basic stuff, I think comes from China. My gut says it's probably Ink Bank based on just look, smell, and feel of it. I don't know where the Japanese stuff is made, but I'm pretty sure they're just outsourcing it and then slapping their label on it. I have worked with the Japanese premium stuff, and it's pretty good. I'm not gonna say it's trash, but it's not as good as the Chroma. Um, so potentially you can use any white ink with the Chroma. If you have a white ink you're really happy with, give it a shot. It shouldn't be an issue because they're coming out of different print heads, so you're not going to have a chemical clogging issue. Um, but they might not mix nicely when you actually lay it over the top of it. So, I mean, the best thing you can do is just try it. Try with your existing white ink, and if it doesn't work, you can kick it to the curb and try the other stuff. Um, so it's a hand feel thing. Like it's ridiculously softer. Um, there generally is less exhaust fumes from a jettable adhesive, and you don't have the powder that gets everywhere. It reminds me of the quote from Star Wars where Anakin's like, "I hate the sand. It gets everywhere. It's coarse. It's rough. That thing." So that's the benefit. But the biggest one is hand feel. Like it feels like nothing when you're touching a liquid adhesive shirt. It feels like nothing, and it's also more stretchy. It just in every way, shape, and form, from a performance standpoint, it's better in a feel stretch performance standpoint. But longevity, maybe not as long, and it creates a whole new different system. Yeah, I'm really waiting to see like DuPont's in action. That's the one I have the most hope for. What about clogging and mixing with the white ink? The issues of clogging are going to be there regardless of whether it's mixed with white ink or not. Um, I I don't know. That's like I said. That's why I want to go and like test it in a space. I want to push it. I want to see what it can do. I want to see what kind of detail I can get out of it. All that kind of stuff. So, and really, we only find out some of this information by just running it. And so we'll see. Somebody's going to have to take the jump and see what happens. Um, oh, Grimco sells Chroma. Yep. Oh, I didn't realize they had a location in Phoenix. That's right. I saw one of the Grimco guys on the flight. That doesn't surprise me. So there you go. Grimco is in Phoenix. Sweet. I was not aware. Thank you, Liz. Yep, Jerome. Technology materials are only going to get better. That is kind of the point of it, right? We just want to get better. First of all, thank you for commenting. This is your first time. I'm gonna go with Belgium. You're Northern European, probably would be my guess based off that name. Tried the chrome ink and it's beating up on the film, and all the other inks I have tested don't do that. Where most were ink bank, I believe. So, what film are you using? Because I have come across it where some films don't jive with certain inks. There was a film I tested from a Canadian company that worked fine on Mamaki ink, but when you printed it with DuPont ink, it beat it up, like what you're talking about. So I would try a different film. Color Prime has DTF Station's Color Prime. They have their own film that they manufacture in their facility in China, in Shenzhen. So, yeah, so give that a try. Try a different film. Ethan, what's happening? No, it's not Cobra Flex 2.0. It is different. It's not coming from the same folks. So, what's happening, John? Thanks for tuning in. If you finally got to make it to a live stream, John. Tried paddlers from Sublastar, had amazing feeling, but did not hold up as well. Yep. That's what Neoflex is saying is they are only guaranteeing like 20 something washes, which is not great. There you go. Carl's been using the no sediment from DTF One Stop with the chrome and no issues. And like I said, like this guy's having trouble with it with the film. Sometimes it just doesn't jive with another thing, and sometimes it's a chemistry, sometimes it's something else. I promise I won't. I'm not going to give you an update because you just have to reach out to Sylvan. Coleman Sylvan. Sylvan's running a let's call it a black market bulk ink system. When I was working on developing it when I was at Superstore, we were getting there, but never got to the point where I was like, this is a great solution. So, all right, on to the next things I saw. Couple quick ones. This is American Print and Supplies laser cutter. At Printing United, they had a gigantic one, like humongous. Like it wouldn't have fit in my one car garage. It was just that big. So this was a lot smaller one. It was nice to see the smaller one. Their system here is set up like you saw on the DTF Station cutter. It uses registration marks in the RIP software. This uses cameras, and so you have to do a box around it, but it cuts inside that box. So I think you do have a little bit of film waste maybe, but honestly not dramatic depending on what you're kind of printing and working with. So it was pretty slick to see that running. The Epson, it was the talk of the town. And then you're like, holy cow, what is that thing? 64 inches wide. So they were running dual 24-inch rolls to 2 Equipment Zone 24-inch dryer shakers. And that was their solution. So it was cool. I think it's going to be good. Frank, did you make it home to Houston? Or are you stuck someplace? And so help me God, Frank, if you say you're in Phoenix and you have not called me, punk. Anyway, what you're seeing right there, that's the print head they're using. It's huge. So most of your i3200 print heads have like 4 of those line channels. And each of those channels usually have they usually have like 2 rows of nozzles. So effectively, that print head is like 4 i3200s combined into one, which is why they're getting good speed. Now, the speeds they're advertising, I remember when they soft launched the G6070, which is the current one they have out there right now. They They were advertising at the release like 120 square feet an hour. Effectively, most shops are in the 60 foot per hour. Some maybe 65, 70, but generally it was about half of what they were touting when they released it. Now, this isn't going to ship till August. They're thinking the summer before this is going to be shipping. I agree. The dual roll is kind of gimmicky, but I think it's also because they don't have anybody with a dryer shaker that's 64 inches wide. Also, 64 inches wide seems really cumbersome. So maybe the whole dual thing is like a really good compensation or solution for that. I'm sorry, it's like 3 i3200. Sorry, I couldn't remember how many channels were on there, but they were talking about speeds of like 300, 400 white only. They were talking about doing even more. So I'm kind of like, I'm in this situation where I'll kind of hold my breath a little bit on what the actual speed output is. The colors look great. It's going to have that reliability. It comes with a insane warranty. I think it's 5 years. And the print head on this one is user replaceable. And because it's just a single gigantic print head, there you don't have to worry about alignment. So you literally throw the new print head in and it goes to town. So from like a usability standpoint, and they also say that you can turn it on and just run it, walk away from it. Which I was like, okay, that terrifies me a little bit, especially when you still have to put powder in and you got to keep powder on it. But they're saying you could walk away from it, like literally, like leave the shop. So interesting. Love to see it in the real world. Because it is Epson, it will get a lot of attention. Just plain and simple. It did. It got a ton of attention at the show. I personally am from the standpoint of why so big. I'd rather go like stick with your 36 and just go faster back and forth. Like give me wider print swaths. But yeah, that print is pretty dope. But yes, they skipped right over the 32 HD. Yes, of course they're going to keep their best technology for themselves, as anybody would and should. Like I don't blame them for that at all. So I'm glad you got home, Frank. All right, next we have the brother. I asked questions and he was not allowed to answer any of them. So it's not ready yet for release. This is the brother. I'm going to you'll see the video, I'll back up a little bit. It looks like a Chinese machine. It doesn't look like anything special. The Epson looks like something special. This was kind of cool. It's actually attached to the printer. Like there's a little arm that attaches the dryer shaker to the printer. So for those of you who have trouble like getting your printer to line up with your dryer shaker, but it's a forehead. It uses cartridge inks. That's about all I could tell you about it. It was running on Digital Factory. They were actually using a variable white underbase. So you can see the tag that's like right behind my head, right below here. They're using a lighter white underbase under the black, which a lot of booths weren't doing that. And I don't understand why they wouldn't do that. But it is what it is. Yeah, so I got no information because they're not giving out any information. Literally just there to show that they had something. Again, it gives off vibes of the M&R Quattro, like similar vibes. Again, I don't know who's making it, but it looks like it's just coming from China. So, and then the last thing I want to show you guys that I saw that I thought was pretty cool. This, I know we talked about a little bit on the live stream after Printing United. These are these like silicone TPU type of patches printed with a UV printer. And they're kind of like 3-dimensional, really kind of cool. They feel nice. This was at the Impact USA booth. Those are the same company as Inkjet Parts. And the brand of the printer is Fedar, I don't know, Fedar. I don't know how it's pronounced. But yeah, that was pretty cool. And those are designed to go onto garments. I think they look dope on like on hats. Kind of give off a little bit of the vibe of the Stahl's 3-dimensional patches. But yeah, so it lets you do some dimensional type stuff, some embossed feeling type of thing. So it looked pretty cool. And I could see it for sure on like a a soccer jersey, like a sublimated soccer jersey, where you just have the team logo or whatever as this kind of dimensional patch, kind of small on it. So unique thing I saw. Do I think it's going to totally revolutionize our industry? No, not really, not really. But it was cool. It was totally cool to see. So, anybody else at the show? Did you guys see anything that you thought was like just kind of mind blowing, or you really liked it? Or it doesn't even have to be DTF. If you just saw something you thought was friggin' cool, um, but yep, yep. Impact USA, they've got some good machines. Like I said, they're still manufactured in China, but they're called Fader or something like that. But they have more than just DTF there. I think they have some sublimation printers too. So pretty good stuff. All right, let me see what questions I missed. Jerome, um, the video that you just or that I was showing earlier from DTF Station with their cutter, that's using cut marks from Neostampa. So I have not personally done much with the cutting, like the setting up of the files to cut, but those are the registration marks that came out of Neostampa. So depending on the cutter you're using, pretty straightforward. It is an additional module. It's like $550 to add the cutter to a Neostampa license. But yeah, and then I got to hang out with Paul, my rep from Neostampa, most of the time. He didn't have a booth, so he was kind of going around to different booths and different dealers and kind of hanging out with them or whatever. But I got to spend a lot of time hanging out with him. It was a lot of fun. Talking about some stuff. One of the things that we're working on is developing a separation to do a extended color that's orange, green, violet, and fluorescent yellow. Working on a couple other things. They are working in the back end on all sorts of new advancements. So I'm pretty stoked about some of the stuff that they're working on. Biggest thing I'm stoked about is just being able to talk about all the stuff that I knew DTF Station was coming out with, but I couldn't say anything about it. They're giving away free like trial rolls of their Quick Glide version 3 film. Yeah, it was a great show. I had a lot of fun. A lot of fun connecting with people. A lot of fun running into some like new opportunities. So okay, Jerome, take a deep breath, homie. Jerome's beef is that the mosaic or the copy, you have to put in the gap every time. And I've talked to him about this. I've talked to them about this because they are software that works for multiple platforms, and the majority of Neostampa users are sublimation or textile printing, digital textile printing. If they add that as a preset default, it screws something else up in the software that we don't use as DTF users, but the rest of their people do. But I will make sure to voice your concern, Jerome. So yeah, and then one more thing, and feel free to ask questions. If you got them, ask questions. Jonathan, I agree. I kind of was hoping they would just add another head to give more speed. Because that wide print area, man, you got to have a big shop to do that. Like a big shop. Like I can get a lot of speed out of some other machines that don't take up nearly as much room. So yeah, I agree, Jonathan. I was a little bummed about that. So let's talk about a question that popped up on the forums this morning. Switch over to it. So somebody posted, who attended Impressions? What did I miss? And I said, you missed me, because I am a shameless self-promoter. But this was an interesting question from Martin. And Martin, if you're on here, say hello. But he said, how do you feel about the same companies that are selling us the equipment and supplies are also undercutting us by selling gang sheets at dirt cheap prices? Makes me not want to buy from them anymore and risk going straight to China. This is a hot topic. So let me ask the chat. Please respond and let me know, would it or does it bother you if the company you're buying supplies your equipment from is selling transfers? So let's talk about that. So let me know, would you be bothered by that? Do you not really care? What are your feelings if the company you buy supplies from also sells transfers? And I know this actually will affect some people directly in this live stream because they sell consumables as well as print. So while you guys are popping in the chat your thoughts on that, let me pop back over here. And did I talk about profiling a sub printer on the previous live stream? Yes. Coleman, it's so much easier than DTF. So much easier than DTF. So mostly just because the inks are more stable. They behave a little more expectedly. But yeah, you still have to press and measure, because when you print on sublimation paper, it looks all faded and nasty. And then when you press it on the actual item, it becomes super vibrant and all that kind of stuff. So this, when I printed this, it looked like super faded. The blacks were like gray and bleh. But I pressed it and then scanned this. So it's still like DTF. You do need to press it. But you will find if you do try to profile a sublimation printer, is not very hard, quite frankly. Jonathan would not like his supplier to also be his competition. Decolt, I think you've commented before, but if you haven't, thank you. Welcome. Prefer they didn't. Don't really care about selling transfers in general. We only print for apparel items we sell. I have transfer customers that move on to owning and purchasing their machine. They buy supplies from me because they know my quality. So when I was at DTF Superstore, we thought about that exact thing. We asked this exact question. And when we asked in the forums, it was overwhelmingly people didn't care. I get Martin's question about like the whole undercutting thing. What Superstore did at the time when I was there is did like a print to own, because Superstore didn't really have a smaller machine. So there was really no small option like something like this that could get somebody into printing with quality, with reliability, that wasn't like $20,000, $25,000. And so what they started doing was offering a print to own option, basically charging a little bit more than the standard going rate for like price per square foot, but allowing them to use some of that money that they've spent as like building up credit toward purchasing their own machine. So it's kind of like a print till you make up enough money that you can buy your own machine or have at least a sizable down payment on your own machine. I like that model a little bit more than the folks that are like kind of like the race to the bottom with transfers. But honestly, like, it depends on who you're working with, because there are companies that are gonna try to undercut your work. They just are. And those are the companies you don't want to do business with, period. Whether they sell your supplies or not, I think you don't want to necessarily do business with people that are willing to undercut your business like that. That being said, just because they offer transfers doesn't mean that they are taking business from you. There is so much opportunity in this garment decorating space, specifically the DTF space. There is so much opportunity that I don't think that as long as you are going to work on your business and not just post on Etsy and have a website and say, please let these transfers come. If you're working your business, there's plenty of opportunity for you, but you have to work your business. You can't just say, I have a printer and expect the work to come to you. You have to get out there. You have to advertise some way, share with people what you're doing. Like, if you're not doing that stuff, they're going to beat you. So you can do a really amazing job, even if your company you buy supplies from is printing transfers cheaper than you're offering them. At that point, you just want to make sure you do a better job than they're doing. Yeah, so it's a little bit of an integrity question for sure. Because some shops, they do it because that's what they've just done, and it's an opportunity to make some. Honestly, I don't think there's a lot of money in, like, there's not, the margins are in finished goods. Like, you can make money with transfers. Plenty of people in this group do. That's what they do. That's what Jerome does. He sells transfers, but he also sells finished goods. And I think he'll probably tell you that the finished goods is where the money's at, especially when you're on the Jersey Shore and you can charge a lot more. No, but yeah, so it's just, it's one of those things that I think that most of the suppliers are going to be making transfers as well. I know not all of them do. And so it depends on what that company's motivation is. And the biggest thing I would caution from, um, yeah, it is, Jerome. Um, the biggest thing I would caution from, actually, let me look at this real quick. Most of our clients have problems with file quality and color when they try using gang sheets. We offer art optimization services. Yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of opportunity printing premium DTF that pairs. Yeah. And this is why, like, I'm okay suggesting ink, the Color Prime Chroma, that's a little more expensive because it performs better. And it's going to give you better quality transfers. Like, I can't tell you how many people were blown away by the transfers that I had printed for the show um, on my machine. Like, people were like, wow, I can't believe it looks that good. But when it comes to the integrity part of it, like I said, it's like at DTF Superstore, it was, they were using it as a mechanism to help a small business that was going to move into buying their own printer. And honestly, if you want to know what I tell people when they come to me asking about buying a DTF printer, if they don't have an already established garment decorating business, I tell them to not buy a printer. I tell them to buy transfers until you get to the point that you either need to bring it in-house for, from a quality standpoint or something, or you need to bring it in-house because you're spending so much money with those transfer companies. So I liked the way DTF Superstore chose to do it. But the beauty is, guys, is that there are plenty of companies that don't do that, and you can order from them. When it comes to ordering direct from China, because that's what Martin said. Martin's like, hey, makes me not want to buy from them anymore and risk going straight to China. The problem with that, the problem with going direct to China is unless you're buying big volume, let me think how to word this. There are often quality issues coming from China. And people in this group that buy direct have seen that and have experienced that. There are sometimes quality issues. And what buying from a distributor in the US allows is some safeguards for that. So when you get a roll of film that is not working right or something like that, you have the US person to go back to. With China, you get a bad pallet, you just get a bad pallet and you have to deal with it. You have to absorb that cost. So it's a question of absorbing the cost, also the availability. Because if you want to order a pallet from China, if you're either gonna pay a lot of money to have it air freighted, or you're gonna wait a really long time for it to come across on a boat. So there's a lot of risk that comes with buying direct from China. Are there people that are successful with it? Absolutely. I know many of them that are very successful with it, but there is a risk involved. So buying from an American supplier takes away some of that risk. So that's my 2 cents on that. Oh goodness, lots of questions came in. Let me go back up here. Jerome says the DTF transfers are just for car money. Yes, I'm cool with that. I just need pictures when you get the new car. Converted halftones is a great way to keep them from shopping to keep them shopping local. Yes. So halftones are very nuanced. And if you try to buy halftones from a big producer, it is almost always going to be a failure. Like, it's going to be unpleasant for you. So finding someone local, finding someone who does really good work, that's a great way to do it. That's a great way to do it. Yep. if it keeps you busy, if it keeps the printer running, that's a good money maker. Good money maker. I'm using the regular color prime white. Right here. This is the white I'm using right now, which is their standard color prime white, which is like, I think normally $100 a bottle, might be like $90 a bottle or something. So it's not cheap. It's not cheap, but oh, sorry, I just smacked the mic. It's what helps keep my transfers feeling fantastic, and the opacity is really good on it, like really quite good. Honey, I don't have the shirts. They're in my suitcase because I haven't done laundry yet since I got home. But I will show you guys the graphic. This was my favorite graphic I did. Doesn't it look so cool? Just kidding. It looks garbage until I put it on a shirt. But everybody was kind of impressed how big it looked on my shirt. It's 12 and a half wide. But yeah, I was pretty stoked with the show shirts I did. I try to do new shirts for every show. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. And then I came up with these couple ones. I used Kittle for it. It's a good software. It's fun to like create with. Anyway, I wish places like Jiffy didn't offer transfers like stick to selling apparel. So Jiffy, the big models, the Jiffy and a couple other of the big ones, they're outsourcing their printing to other companies. I know because I've worked with a few of them that do print for Jiffy. And so you get a wide range of qualities. So trust me, if they're not hurting your business, let me just put it that way. If people are buying from them, it's because they want the cheapest price possible and they don't care about the quality. And so don't worry about the big dogs too much because they are in the business of advertising and just turning customers over. You guys should be in the business of making amazing DTF that keeps the customer coming to you because you're the only one that does it as good as you do. So, yep, I hear you, Kev. So, Liz, you noticed the hygrometers. Okay, so hygrometer is the technical term, but I want to enact humidimeter. I think that's funnier. Anyway, yes, I am testing to see which ones are accurate because a lot of you guys, I'm sure, have had hygrometers that were wildly different results. So I have 6 of them that I'm testing, and I am releasing a video soon. I'm actually planning to film it this week because I have enough data from all of these to give a good recommendation. I actually have a really good solution that I'll be coming out with that involves one of these. But basically, this one back here, this little one here, that one's really expensive. And that's the one that I was using as my baseline for the quality of the rest of them. And I would tell you that these 3 on the bottom are all pretty accurate. These ones, which like this one is what a lot of shops use, wildly inaccurate. Especially they're not fast for responding. So if I turn on my humidifier, these ones down here are like, hey, you're at 40, and this one still says I'm at 25. Now, when the room settles and it's been at a certain humidity for a while, they all read generally accurate. But these top ones up here can sometimes take an hour or 2 hours to catch up to the accurate ones. So I'm going to go into all that as well as give some recommendations for humidifiers. And I actually have some like data and some experiential why I recommend a certain humidifier over another. But that will be coming out. I'm filming it this week. I don't want to give everything away. But that one's my favorite. That one. That's my favorite. All right. Jerome, yes. Jerome has had issues with moisture on the film that ships. So he and I actually had some conversations about like sometimes when film doesn't work well, it's because, well, anybody else has experienced like the change from fall to winter to spring always causes issue with DTF printing. And it's usually because the film is either absorbing excess moisture or whatever. It causes a lot of extra problems. So yeah, when you ship it on a boat from China, and it's a certain time of year, it just that film will absorb a lot more moisture. And so you got to deal with that when it gets to you. So Jerome and I have also had conversations about how to deal with that too. I was ordering 10 rolls of film. It cost me around $900. So I just found someone local who has the film for 75 bucks. Perfect. I mean, if you can find it local, that's great because shipping is expensive um, for um, for DTF film for sure. What did I end up talking about in my collaboration? My collaboration with who? I don't recall. So let me know who I was collaborating with. They want the cheapest and they complain about the quality. Yes, they do. Normally, your customers are the biggest pain in the butts are the ones that spend the least. Um, yep, like I said, you've got to be really proactive with your inventory if you're ordering direct from China. And yes, I'm home all week to film. Kev just got home. Glad you got home, Kev. So, status of no sediment white ink. So, a couple of you guys need to give me some follow-up answers. So, what collaboration are you talking about? And then, so it's the titanium dioxide that makes the white ink opaque or helps with the opacity of the white ink, and that is what wants to separate. I personally have not seen a particular no sediment white that was good for opacity. Um, I think they're all going to separate to a degree. That's just the nature of that type of ink. The fact that no like big ink manufacturers are pursuing a no sediment white tells me a little something about that kind of a technology. So I don't know of anything that's out there like run. I mean, I know somebody earlier said that they're running no sediment, but um, I feel like Carl's the one that's using it. I feel like it still might yeah, it does have sediment. It still does. I have tested it and I sat it. Correct. It doesn't separate as fast because there's less titanium dioxide. So my experience, and this was back when I was at Superstore, and we did have some no sediment that we were testing, and it still separated. Like you sat it, and I think I've seen some paperwork because DTF Station or Color Prime did share with me a bunch of their internal data on the performance of the Color Prime Chroma ink. And if I remember correctly, they tested some no sediment white and it was still settling. So it's just not as bad. I think if you have a good circulation system, a decent stirring system, you're going to be fine. And it's still going to settle a little bit. That's just the nature of it, I think. But it's really not causing too many problems, especially like the better quality white inks are just not causing those similar problems. Because I think that people thought that it was the titanium dioxide that was causing all the clogging issues. And I don't think that was the case. I think it was just crappy ink, quite frankly, because I even saw some of the poor inks early on that the CMYK would clog a bit too. So I think that came down more just a poor quality ink and poor quality manufacturing practices. Because I mean, technically the Color Prime does settle. Like you still should shake it up before you use it. But I've been running this thing since May and I don't hardly run it at all. And I don't have any clogging issues. None whatsoever. So the reason Jerome's name is talked about is because he is a big shot. No, I don't want Jerome's head to get too big. So let's not say he's a big shot. No, Jerome has been doing DTF for a long time. He's got a lot of experience. He's a wealth of knowledge. I have had the opportunity to work with him both when I was at DTF Superstore as well as now on my own. And he's a good dude that is happy to share information. There are lots of people in this industry that don't like to share information, and he is happy to. He's happy to help people out. He has been learning color profiling and getting better and better at it. As long as he doesn't try to do his own thing, he likes to experiment, and he causes bigger issues when he does that. but he's happy to like share with people. So I know there's some other people that watch the channel that reach out to him and he happily answers. So that's where we talk about him a little bit. He was also my first and only guest so far on the live stream. Showed how to replace the manifold on a Epson i3200 printhead. So, but yeah, so he's just got a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience, and a lot of it is confirmed. And just the topics for today just happen to be in his wheelhouse a little bit, because Jerome does print transfers, he does sell consumables, and he does finished goods. So he's kind of got a little bit of it all. But like I said, he's a good source of knowledge, and he and I have lots of deep conversations. Like, I should show you some of the novels that he texts me after live streams. And when I say novels, I mean, I'm on Facebook Messenger doing this to get to the bottom of his message. Luckily, they're relatively sane ramblings. They're not like crazy. Speaking of people that have talked to Jerome, hey Dino. Dino, FYI, I will respond to your email. Dino was asking, he was trying to test some Chroma ink in the UK, and none of the dealers there had Chroma ink. So there are some issues with like supply chain stuff for Chroma ink in Europe and other countries. So Dino, if you reach out to, because you were probably talking to DTF Station Global, I'll try to get you some contact information for DTF Station North America, because that's who's got the Chroma ink right now. So those of you who are watching from the other side of the planet, sorry, you don't have ready access to Chroma. My apologies. Have I given more thought to trying to change the i1600 i3200? I have not given it more thought. I thought about it for a little bit after the live stream that somebody mentioned that. Technically, right now, this is on loan to me. At the end of my 1-year contract with DTF Station, it becomes mine. But technically, right now, it's on loan technically. So I'm hesitant to try that. Also, I don't know if it'll change up I don't know if I need to make some changes in Soft, like in Print XP, to make it work right. Like, there's a lot of unknowns with swapping it out. And also, like, I print so little, I kind of don't want to go do something crazy catastrophic on this thing and then not be able to print when I need to, because I need to print for videos sometimes. So will I consider it? Maybe some point in time, but that's like $2,000 of like if I get a good price on it. i3200 is anywhere between like $900 and $1,500 depending on where you buy it from, and I'm not about to sink $3,000 into just seeing if it does something to print a little bit faster. Honestly, the quality of my i1600 is as good, or actually better than most other printers, because it's me profiling it and setting it up and dialing it in. So mine's the best. Honestly, it comes down to like the quality of the tool only matters so much depending on the person wielding it. Like, I think did we mention last week? I got a welder for Christmas. I'm not going to make pretty welds. Whether I had a $10,000 welder or a $100 welder, I'm not going to make great welds. Same thing. I can make great graphics on this. So, oh, Martin, we already discussed it. So you'll have to go back or scroll up through the comments. You'll see people's feedback on that. But yeah, just go back and watch. I actually pulled up. Look, I pulled up your comment and everything. We talked about it. So general consensus for the folks here is they don't like it, but also go find a different supplier that maybe isn't competing with you as much or has a different like ethos about it. So, all right. But luckily, Martin, you can go back and watch this. Anybody who's watching, you can actually probably skip back right now and go back and watch it. But you can always watch it after the fact. And that's where actually most of my views come from, is the after the fact. Because not everyone can jump on. I think we actually have a pretty good turnout today because y'all are stuck. You can't do nothing because it's all frozen everywhere. But yeah. So, all right. Well, if there are no more questions, you can still jump on with the question. I'm just going to double check that I didn't miss anything. Again, thank you, everyone that has recommended me to somebody else, somebody in your circles. I very much appreciate it. Um, I'm excited for some opportunities to work with some other companies, with some like AI type stuff, some quality control stuff that has to do with color. I'm pretty stoked about getting to try some of that stuff and talking to the folks. There's some really cool technology out there. There's one company that has a little algorithm, um, an algorithm that will tell you how soft your transfer is going to feel based on the file input. And they use data from their profile on how much ink will be used for a certain color. So they actually have this like it's pretty cool. I'm going to have more meetings with them to kind of see what how they're calculating that. But it looked pretty cool. So all right, let's see. Corbin. uh, that's one of the reasons I talk a little slower, so that when you listen to me at 2x speed, it's not entirely painful. I'm just kidding. Oh yes, Neo does better variable white underbase than Digital Factory. Um, I'll explain it more in just a second. Let me hit these other ones. Jerome, try printing for competing local screen print companies. Yes, yes, guys. Like screen printers are starting to recognize the value of DTF, so much so that many of them are buying equipment. But if they can outsource to you to do it, that's fantastic. So yeah, talk to screen printers. Yes. Yes. Finding people that are willing to show their knowledge is fairly rare. I just happen to be one of those people, and I tend to attract more of those people. So, Carl, go drop in, go make something happen. Okay, so let's go back to this real quick. So, Neo Stampa's variable white underbase um, is a lot more advanced than Digital Factory's. Digital Factory's white underbase just does white under black or dark grays. It varies the white under just those colors. Neo Stampa's variable white underbase is infinitely adjustable and scalable. Let's see. Do I have can I hop in real quick? Let's hop over to Neo Stampa. Okay, so variable white underbase, we go to white effect layer, and here's our options. So dynamic is variable white underbase. So it's a little, I'll be honest, Digital Factory's variable white underbase and how they handle it is confusing. Neo Stamp is just similarly as confusing, but once you understand it, it makes sense. So the reference ink limit is basically okay. Let me put it this way. Your white ink at ink minimum is basically on a light, very, very only subtly off from white, like a beige color. Your white underbase would be at 80%. At your maximum ink load, which this is down here, your Jerome doesn't understand it. I'm trying to explain it, Jerome. Your reference ink limit is the amount of ink that's laid down will have this at ink limit. So let's say you've got a color in here, like I've got this dark blue. Let me see if I can zoom into it real quick. Let's say it's this dark red. Actually, what color it thinks this dark red is. So this dark red is using 0.99 cyan, 99 magenta, 99 or 98 yellow, and 6% black. So my is effectively using 202% ink, right? 202% ink. So in this chart, under that red color, my ink is only going to be at 40% underbase. because I have my ink reference set to 180. So anything that's more than 180 ink coverage is going to get this at ink minimum. So consider this your white under black, but in the case of Neostampa, it's white under all of the colors, all of the colors that are more saturated. So generally, this is set at what your max ink level is set at in your profile. But a lot of times you're not building profiles, so you don't know that information. But just know that that's what it kind of defaults to. That's what's happening here. So this is your white under base under hardly any color at all. This is your white under base under a lot of color. You can set that amount right here. If you feel like it's grabbing too much of the color stuff and it's fading a little bit, you can increase this amount. So if, like, let's say I didn't want it to grab this red color here, I was like, hey, that red color it's not saturated enough for me to have lower white underbase. I would just bump this up to like 200 or something like that. Does that make sense? And then the highlight white, this is the part that's like kind of confusing. If you weren't already confused. The highlight white, the intensity is how much of what's left over up here are you utilizing? So this is where it's like, it's a relative thing. So in this case, I'm using 80% white ink under my lightest colors. So that means I have about 20% left to work with. Now, I don't want to do a full 100%. I want to do just 90% for my highlight. So that's 10% more, right? That's half of what's left. So I would do 50% because that's half of what's left. So this number here is what's left over from here. So if your white underbase is set at 60, you effectively have 40% of white to work with on your highlight. So if you wanted to make it just from 60 to 70, that's only a 10% increase or a quarter of what you have left over. You would put your intensity at 25%. I really need to work on a better way to explain this because every time I explain it, I feel like I'm being confusing and confusing myself. The amplitude is the value to which it kind of pulls in from colors. So basically, if I set it to like 20% or something like that, it's going to pull in some of those really light colors. Like, let's say it's only using 2% yellow and that's it. It'll start grabbing some of those, that stuff that's got a little bit of color behind it. So it almost causes an infinite gradient of white under stuff, kind of. It's the best way I can explain it. But I'm still working on a better way to explain this because it is hard because it is a percentage of a percentage. That makes it a little difficult. But generally speaking, I set my white underbase based off of those leopard graphics that I like to use on a black shirt. And whichever one still looks good, but is just faded, but it's still solid white, that's where I put my ink minimum. And then I generally am doing this a little bit lower than what its default is. And its default is set when they build the profile. So I hope that is as clear as mud. Again, I'm still working on a better way to explain that. Because even in the course, when I recorded the course, I haven't edited it yet, but when I recorded the course, I was like, oh, this is confusing. So I'm gonna continue to work on a better way to explain it. But yes, you can do variable white underbase in Neostampa, and it's actually better than Digital Factories. Okay, so back up here, we had a couple of good questions. Oh, a couple of good questions. First, Spiritus Maximus. Yes, the hygrometer is relevant because humidity affects print quality dramatically. Like, it is one of the biggest factors in how well your printer prints. You should be printing in an environment that is 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit and 40 to 60% humidity. If you print lower than that, you run the risk of banding and many other potential issues. And if you guys look right now, I'm currently at 30% humidity in here right now. That is not good, but I'm not printing, so I don't really care. But yes, it is vitally important that you have your humidity right and your temperature right. If you have trouble with printing, the first question I'm going to ask you is your humidity right? Is your temp right? Yes, my wife does not, but you listen to audiobooks at like 1.5 times. So pot calling kettle black much. Okay. Steve Brown, we have lots of new commenters today. So thank you all so much for watching and asking questions. So thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. All right. Is there a good place to get for getting a new printer set up and all the maintenance? We are a print shop printing DTF on our F2100, purchase overseas, and still need to get her set up and running. That is a service that I offer. The dilemma that we run into when it's not the company that sold it to you is that if a part is failing or if a part fails right from the get-go, it might limit my ability to be able to finish the install. But that's something we can talk about. So shoot me an email, Steve. Like I said, that is one of the things that I offer. I offer profiling services, but I also offer installation and setup. I just haven't done much of it because most people's machines are set up. They just need better color. So do me a favor, Steve, and shoot me an email, colorgamutconsulting@gmail.com, and I can get you a quote. Actually, I can just tell you the quote. For setting up of a new machine, it's $3,500 because it's 1 day to like set up and install and 1 day to profile. Sometimes it goes a lot faster, but I like to leave some gap, some space in case there's an issue, in case there's like some nuance because it's a different machine that I've not worked on before and you got to figure some stuff out with it. So $3,500 includes all travel, 2 days. Day 1 is setup, day 2 is profile, or day 1 is setup and profile, day 2 is like train you on it. But I do include training, showing you how to use it, showing you some best practices. And part of that will be also just kind of like figuring out the quirks of that machine if it's a newer machine. So yeah, definitely reach out. Jerome can watch 2 more times. Yep, probably. It is the most, yeah, do not go down that rabbit hole too far, Jerome. You got work to do. You got some transfers to sell. Pure white and extends into the color. Yes, that is correct. That's a good way to explain it, Corbin. It goes, starts from the pure white and grabs some of those lighter colors and boosts them a little bit. So I wish I knew Pig Latin. Quite frankly, I wish I knew another language more than just English. It's bad. This is a good question. How low is too low to run your white? That's a personal thing, and it depends on the machine. So some machines, 30% is not enough. Basically, what you want, what is the kind of lowest point you can go, is when it still looks like a solid, like a consistent white color when you're looking at the back of the transfer. If it's splotchy and like not just an even, like it'll obviously be faded pressed on a black shirt, but if it's an even fade, then that's good. But when it becomes splotchy and it's like you can kind of see weight, it doesn't look good, don't go that low. The other thing you want to do is you want to test, or you want to wash test it too. So make sure that you like press a couple things with that 30% or 20%, whatever you're trying for your lowest, and wash it a bunch of times, see how it holds up. Because you don't want to do something that's going to affect the longevity of your transfer. So, yeah. I hope that makes sense. And every machine is going to be different. I could not give you a baseline of what you should or shouldn't be doing. White underbase is purely machine, ink, and rip dependent. So every machine is going to be a little bit different. Sorry, I think I missed a couple questions. All right, let's see. So the white underbase, there's highlight white and white underbase on Digital Factory. Let me see if I have it open. Do I have it open? Oh, baby, I have it open. So on Digital Factory, the white underbase options are similar, but are a little bit different. So let's talk about it. Okay, so in the color layer, you have processing options. And you have underbase and highlight white. So this is your underbase. So basically everything is going to get, in this case, 30%. This is ridiculous. I don't know what I was doing with this one. The joy of random profiles in my computer. 60% is going to be your maximum white ink. So that's under all of your colors, 60% white. Highlight white is going to be just for white only. You boost it. In my experience, like 10, 15% is good. Sometimes you can go away with just using the regular highlight, or the regular maximum ink for your white. This is the percentage of your underbase percentage. Like I said, it's confusing, right? So if I've done my test and I know that I don't want to go under 30% white underbase, then this, since my main underbase is 60%, my under black, to make sure I have enough to make it durable, I want it at 30. I make this 50%. Whoops, I clicked on 60 because I'm not looking at that computer. 50%, because it's 50% of the 60, which is 30. This is why it's like this weird, confusing, rolling like scale, right? If I want my white under black, my minimum amount of white to be used, I don't want to go lower than 30%. I need to do 50% of the 60%. If my white underbase was 80% and I wanted to do 30%, then I could go down to like 40. Hope that makes sense. But that's how the white underbase works. The variable white underbase works for Digital Factory. So your under black, your underbase strength, I think they call it. I can't read that screen. Yeah. The white under black is a percentage of your maximum whiting percentage. Clear as mud. The reason it's easier to explain on Digital Factory is because there's less options, quite frankly. Thank you, honey. Yes, I do offer to help you swap out your ink as well. So if you are wanting to switch to a different ink, whether it's the ink bank, the DuPont, the Chroma, whatever, I do offer services to help you do that if you want. I also have a video on how to swap out the ink yourself too, if you want to. Let's see. Papa Roach, cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. You're throwing me back to high school and like early college days. No. Remote profiling does not work great. Could it be better than what you currently have? Yes. But it is not going to be good. It's not going to be great. It's going to be mediocre at best. So I don't offer remote profiling services because there's just too many things that can go wrong that could give you a really, really poor result. And I don't want to spend the time and charge you the money to have something not be great. So I come to Canada. I was in Calgary, well, Lethbridge technically, but I was in Calgary in December. So I'll come to Canada. I just got Sweet Talk Customs when I come in with all my gear. But yeah. Yeah, I made some good profiles at Superstore. I make way better ones now. Way better. Jerome, I'm working on the separation. I've already talked to Neo Stampa. They're beginning the development of it. So there will be time. It will happen at some point. All right. Did I miss anybody's question? Gosh, I sure hope not. You guys were popping off on the chat. My goodness. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. I think I got them all. Y'all, so I'm trying to think if I'm allowed to say this or not. Yeah, it's probably fine. So Flexi sent me their full version of their software. So I'm hoping I can maybe test it this week. If not, I will test at some point. They're talking about offering a loaner program where they will loan out for a cost or fee the X-Rite. My concern with loaning out my X-Rite, aside from that I use it, it's just the potential damage. But I don't know. There's some pieces to, and Jerome will be the first to tell you. There's some things that like I will look at and just be like, immediately I know that something's wrong. That somebody else might just power through. I know Jerome's been building his own, Carl's building his own, Coleman's building his own. A lot of you guys on here are building your own profiles. And there's some element of like, you got to know what you're looking for to know if something's going sideways. So what do you mean, does Flexi have an option for chroma? I mean, I doubt there's a profile built for chroma ink in Flexi, because I don't know what defaults they come with. Quite frankly, I've like only worked with Flexi in the field, so I'm not actually played with that RIP software. Honestly, I'll be surprised if I like it as much as Neostampa, just from a color standpoint. Neostampa just always makes me happy. Okay, you gentlemen, you have me thinking. Because, I mean, my Pelican does a good job protecting my gear. And I don't need to get, like, the whole, like, shebang of, like, the arm and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's fun and all. But you guys got me thinking. Okay, all right. Thanks for that. Now I have another rabbit trail to go down. But I'm going to put it aside because I got to film videos this week. This week is all about getting some stuff shot, because I am gone every single week in February. I'm not going to be home at all in February. So I would not use the i1 Profiler software if I'm loaning it out. People would have to purchase the profiling add-on for their particular software, is what I would think. But where to get a Jaguar test? On my website, Jerome. Watch my video. Just go to my YouTube and search white underbase testing or white underbase. Jerome obviously does not watch my YouTube channel very much. Let's see. Yeah, I don't recall that setting when I've worked with Flexi in the past. I'll look into it. So you guys don't want to know. Hello. Thank you for commenting. Temecula, California. Gotta love Cali out there. It's beautiful. I'm going to get back to you, Coleman, and my wife in a second. I have Flexi and Fine support, not great. And what is out there online is very old. That's also kind of what I've heard. But they sweet talked me a little bit. Apparently their built-in halftoner was designed and programmed and built off of my videos. So I'm like, they sweet talking me a little bit. So I'm going to look into it. Okay. Coleman wants to know, what was Jeremy's major in college? And my wife wants to know, yeah, what was your major in college? Rachel, you know what my major in college was. I didn't finish college. Okay? So I'm a firm believer. Myself and Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs. School's not for everyone. It is very, very helpful. And learning and having knowledge. Jonathan, you're supposed to keep that a secret. People should not know that I can underwater basket weave. I'm a firm believer in that the trades are where it's at for a lot of people. This is technically a trade. Skills USA, amazing program. We should support them, support them big time. But I never connected at school. At school was always frustrating for me. Part of it's because I'm pretty smart, so I did get bored pretty easily. But part of it was just I don't learn like that. I just don't learn that way. And there's a lot of kids, a lot of people that don't learn the way that school's set up and designed. And so I think for some kids, going to college is just making it tougher. but that's not to say you don't stop learning. Like, I am an avid learner. Like, I love learning stuff. If I've learned something new today, it's a good day. Like, that's how I define a good day, is if I've learned something new. I am a insane consumer of information and educational content. Um, but I think that there's a lot of folks out there that the traditional routes just aren't perfect for them. When I was in college for a little bit, when I thought I still needed to be in college, um, I was studying music composition, actually. I was a music pastor at the time, and I thought I wanted to learn how to write more. And at that point in time, I was already orchestrating. I was writing music for small orchestras. I remember one Easter, I had I think a 27-piece orchestra playing with me, and like a 30-voice choir singing with me, and then the regular band from church. And I wrote all the music for that. I actually had a church locally here in the Phoenix metro area that hired me to write some orchestration for their church orchestra. So I love music. Like, honestly, if you were to give me $100 million and told me I could retire, I would probably pursue that, because I love music. I always have. But there's not a lot of money in it, and it's a lot of work. And I like this. This is fun. I'm having fun doing this. I really enjoy it. I actually had a couple of job offers this last weekend, and I'm like, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I love working with end users. I love being in shops, seeing you guys' stuff. I love this interaction. This is so much fun. And I like doing the profiling stuff. It's challenging, it's fun, it's exciting. I'm a perfectionist, and that's what I'm striving for when I build profiles, is perfection. Now, I know perfection is not always possible, but it is what it is. Jerome. Because I don't sit down. I'm good at this because water-based ink's on my hands and nothing compared to transmission fluid in my hair. Jerome's a car guy. I think a lot of folks that like to wrench on stuff, like on DTF stuff, have some kind of background with cars too. So anyway, that was a great question. So what was my major? I didn't actually finish college. I took some courses, but my major was music composition when I was there. So anyway, on that lovely personal note, thanks again, everyone. I am not going to be live streaming next week. I'm in a shop all week like I was a couple weeks ago. So I will not be live streaming on Monday. But keep an eye out. I might pop on and do a random live stream later this week if I'm doing some profile building or testing something. But I will not be live streaming next Monday. So in 2 weeks, I will see you back here. We did have another question pop in. What's the minimum white underbase you recommend? So Mamaki thinks that they can do no white underbase. It does not have any kind of longevity. So you need to test what your minimum white underbase is. I mentioned a little bit earlier, it might have been before you hopped on. But if you go back, I have a video on testing white underbase levels. And if you want to go super, super low on like a white shirt, usually a test that still has the durability, because when you print Mamaki with no white underbase and put on a white shirt, it does not last very long. It is very poor. I tested it back when I was at Superstore. So you need white underbase if it's going to have any kind of longevity. But on a white shirt, you can do super low. Again, every machine is different. On my machine here, I can do down like the 25-ish range, 25, 30. I can go pretty low and have it still be durable, but super, super soft. So Esteban, it's always good to see you too. I'm bummed we couldn't figure out how to do a video, but we'll figure out another one for the next show. But if you guys haven't seen, Esteban did a review of the show. They posted, I think, this morning over on their channel. So head over to All America Print Supply's YouTube channel, AA Print Supply Co. on YouTube, I think is what it is. But they're good friends of the channel, so go check it out. Esteban always brings the energy. All right, that's it. Love you guys. Have a great week. I'll see you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, guys. Sorry, no live stream next week. 2 weeks. I'll be back on. Same time, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock in the UK, I think. Something like that. Anyway, see you guys in a couple weeks. Bye.